Germany has gotten significantly more powerful with 40 IPCs in this new revised edition. And those 40 IPCs and the different outlay of the map and the technologies make Germany's purchases some of the most difficult to contemplate of any player. And what I'm going to recommend is that you purchase 5 tech rolls and 1 bomber. And what those tech rolls would go toward, 2 of them, since you can now direct which tech roll goes for which technology, I would roll 2 of those dice to try to get heavy bombers, and that would go nicely with the bomber that you're purchasing. And then I'd roll 3 of those dice to try to get rockets. The reason you don't want to roll too many dice after just 1 tech is because then there might be the chance that, well, what if you could have gotten both of them? And so rolling just 3 dice and 2 dice minimizes the risk that you perhaps could have gotten it with fewer dice. So those are the purchases. Now to lay out the combat sequences, you likely will have much if not all of what remains after my Russian optimal strategy has already been played out. So to first notice that you cannot no longer attack this UK fleet because of the extra sea zones. It's very difficult to reach there with very many units, and with the battleship being able to absorb 2 hits, you're better off using those units somewhere else. So I recommend sending a sub and 3 fighters to attack this battleship, loading an infantry and an artillery out of southern Europe onto a transport and bringing this into here along with this fighter. And then this fighter, these units, the units off the transport, if that goes well, and this bomber can all reach down into Egypt. Further north, these 3 infantry can move to here, and 2 infantry along with a fighter can retake that territory there. So those are all the combat sequences that are laid out. What's likely to happen is that this destroyer will get hit on the first round of combat, and even if it does hit, the battleship can absorb it, get turned on its side, then at the end of the battle get righted, and so Germany actually won't lose any units there. In this case, you're bringing enough units that you likely will kill the battleship on the first round, but there's a good chance that the battleship will hit as well, and then you would take that hit on your sub, saving your 3 planes. In Egypt, you're bringing in a bomber, a fighter, 2 infantry, an artillery, and a tank. And to show how quick calculation of expected outcomes would go, you're bringing in 4 die points with the bomber because the bomber hits on a 4 or less. You're bringing in 3 with the fighter and the tank, so that brings your total up to 10. You're bringing in an additional 4, the infantry and the artillery, bringing your total to 14, and then the final infantry, bringing your total to 15. So you're attacking with 15 die points. The British are defending with 4 for their fighter, 2 for their infantry, and 3 for their tank, a total of 9. Now, you divide each of those numbers by 6 to figure out how many casualties each side should deliver and absorb. The Germans with 15 divided by 6 would yield 2.5, and the British with 9 would yield 1.5. And so we'll say that each side gets the lesser of the 2, and so Germany kills 2 units and Britain kills 1 unit. After the first round, the battle would look like this. On the next round, Germany would hit the plane, and we'll say the plane hits an infantry. So net effect is you would take Egypt with those likely forces. Up here in Belarusia, you're bringing in 3 die points with the fighter, 2 die points with the infantry. You will likely hit, and we'll be extremely generous and say that they would hit as well, leaving you with that. And that ends all of your combat, with the exception that if you were to have gotten rockets on your first roll, you would also want to roll against Caucasus and United Kingdom with the 2 anti-aircraft guns that are in Western Europe and in Germany. And so you can do that combat at any point during your turn. And of course, if you had gotten heavy bombers, then this attack would have gone much more easily as well. So for your combat, first remember to move this anti-aircraft gun to here, because even if you haven't gotten rockets yet, you should continue trying to get them, and then when you do, this rocket is nicely positioned to be 1, 2, 3 spaces away from Russia. The way rockets work is you can only fire 1 rocket per anti-aircraft gun. There can only be 1 anti-aircraft gun in each territory, and you can target only 1 enemy factory up to 3 spaces away with that anti-aircraft gun. So this configuration allows this gun to fire at Russia, this gun to fire at Caucasus, and this gun to fire at the United Kingdom. The unfortunate thing about rockets is that while they cannot be shot down, which is a nice plus, they are limited to the amount of damage that the territory's IPC value is worth. So for instance, Caucasus can only be rocket attacked for 4. So if you roll a 5 or a 6, that gets rounded down to a 4 to determine how many IPCs Russia loses as a result. At the end of your turn, these infantry for non-combat should move to here. These planes are forced to land there. You want to land as many planes as can reach in Western Europe, which is under the most threat to you that you want to easily defend. This plane as well can make it back there. Then, since all of this can converge on Ukraine, you're better off pulling back out of Ukraine with all of these units and pretty much holding up in Eastern Europe with all of these units. And you can send another tank to there to prepare yourself for the next turn should you want to bring them over on the transport into Africa. And the end of your turn should have your forces looking like this. That plane can land there. And that should be it. So to put out your iron crosses, to show the territories that you've taken, you now control this and this. Well, this remains unretaken. So I'll go ahead and consolidate 1, 2, 3, 4. Leaving you with a nice stack. German tanks there. 3, 4, 5. And a nice stack of German infantry there. A nice deterrent to any Russian advance. Then also, you should move this fleet to here. It's essentially a sitting duck as long as it stays there. It does you no good. This way the UK can still reach it, but if they don't choose to attack it on this turn, then it can make it into the Mediterranean where it will actually be safe. So on the end of your turn, go ahead and build your bomber in Germany, and since nothing can reach to invade, you are completely safe. So that should end your first turn with Germany.